Hello everyone, welcome back. I decided to delete the last two videos on this particular padlock primarily because there is a correction to be made, and that is this is really a 6 tumbler padlock, not a 5. I can't let that go. So in the first video I was showcasing this lock for its beautiful rich patina, which definitely caused me to want this lock, but I always like these locks because there is a very interesting mechanism. If you ever had a chance to open one of these up to play with, they're really well made. In the first video, I discussed my dismay about a broken shackle spring. A simple test you can do is merely depress the shackle, and you'll see that this play will always be under spring rebound, and clearly this has none, and the spring is broken. I also discovered that this lock has a broken lever tumbler on lever tumbler 1. I'm calling the top tumbler closest to the top of the key pin as tumbler 1, and the furthest from the bottom of the lock is tumbler 6. And tumbler 1 has a broken spring. If you don't have a key, there's some simple tests you can do. One is just touch each lever tumbler and check for spring rebound. The other thing is if you do have the key and you find that the key doesn't work very well, probably because it has to do with the orientation that you're holding the lock, and that was part of my problem when I got this. Here is the original key that came with this lock, and what I discovered was if I turned the lock upside down, lever tumbler 1 was oversetting, not coming in line with the fence plate here, and was not working. However, if I turned the lock this way and rotated the key to the 11 o'clock position, and the key would pretty much work every time. So anyway, yeah, that's the problem I had in the first video, and ultimately I wanted to do a video on my tumbler trapping tool that I described in my first book on this YALE 1275 padlock. Here is that tool right here. This tool is made from .047 spring steel. The one that I produced in my book was made from .039 regular spring steel. I had to go with a thicker wire merely because of the material. Spring steel of stainless is just not as strong, so I went with a heavier wire. This tool has been bent to address the unique geometry that exists in this lock. One of the things you can't really see unless you really look closely to the right of the keyway is a very significant teardropped lever tumbler stack, and that opens a very small space between this rivet here. So the bend in the tool allows for that, and you have to be very careful in designing the tool for width from here to here as well from here to here, and a properly made tool will address those issues. Also, the length of the tumbler trapping tip is important. Too long, that'll cause problems. Too short, that'll cause problems. This tool was the tip of the tool was made in a way that I had to grind it down after smashing it down with a ball peen hammer so that it's about .051 in thickness or in width, that of a lever tumbler. And the way this tool works is you try to get it in position on the top lever tumbler if you can, and you have to use a hook pick in order to lift the lever tumbler. Sometimes you have to almost randomly touch on several tumblers at once until you get this thing primed, if you will, into the lever tumbler stack, and then you just want to start from the top, and then you want to obtain significant rotational pressure, and what will happen is this tool will displace slightly counterclockwise, and in order to decode the lock you have to use a Z wire such as this. This is made out of the same gauge material, .047, and the tip of the tool is been ground down incrementally until it properly sandwiches between the edge of the lever tumbler and the key pin. It's very important that you maintain significant rotational pressure and also balance this Z-bar in position just long enough to validate the distance between the lever tumbler and the key pin. That in turn will translate into a depth cut, and I guess there's a couple of ways of looking at that. What normally a depth cut is merely, well, it's just a cut in depth. Well, what I'm doing is I'm kind of doing the remainder of the depth cut between the edge of the key post and this the tip. So in this case, lever tumbler 1, 2, and 5 are all a no cut. This is going to be lever tumbler 3, 4, and this one here is going to be 6, and just below that is going to be the driver. Anyway, guys, I hope that does justice. I don't like deleting videos, and after people leave comments, it's really not the right thing to do. I have such a small following, so I want to make sure that I keep it clean, I keep it honest. And I should probably mention that if you don't have key blanks, one might say, well, why go through all this decoding process? Well, the real reason is because if you understand why I wrote my books, I don't like being the slave to key collectors and the lack of original key material out there. I like the artistry of making my own key blanks. That's what my books are really all about. In fact, I rarely collect locks with original keys because I like the challenge. Yeah, so I hope that does it justice, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.